welcome to Tat Talks.
Welcome to Tat Talks. It's our first episode. We're super excited to be here. Adam and I already said
Yeah.
started it off saying we did a trial run not that long ago of Only Sound, and it went really well, but we kept saying like totally and yeah, so we are focusing on not doing that this time.
Yeah.
But let's jump right in.
It's harder than you think not to do those things.
It is hard.
You even looked up videos, YouTube videos, how can we not say these words? And there was a bunch of stuff like, I just said it again. But there was like things to do or writing on a piece of paper all the words that you don't want to say and all this kind of stuff. So.
Anyway, we're going to try not to say them, but we probably will because we're new and
Don't judge us.
don't judge us.
But it's going on social media, so we're probably going to get judged.
We're going to get judged.
That's okay.
But let's start.
Let's start. Yes, let's start.
We're in the shop right now, so welcome to Le Jardin Noir Tattoo
Mhm.
Studio.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's beautiful in here. I
Thank
like
you.
it. It's cozy.
thank you. We
I'm
try to
liking
make it
it
at
already.
home. Actually, the other day it was really funny. We were hanging out here. Nicole was working. She's one of the artists that does realism tattoos here. And she was working. She was the only one working. I was hanging out here. Nairi, my assistant, was hanging out here. Elise, one of the other artists, was hanging out here. And Laura had already left, but Nicole was like, you need to call Corey and get her here right now because she needs to come hang out. So,
So you just called her to come
so I
hang
called
out?
her. I was like, you need to get here. Like, you need to come over. So we're all sitting here talking. And Nicole is sitting over there working. And she's like, you guys need to bring the living room over here so I can hear you.
That's great.
I know. It's like, that's what I
Aw,
wanted.
That's cute.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, this is our first podcast. We're gonna be doing a bunch of different topics and stuff you guys want to hear. If you guys want to comment down below on different stuff you guys want to know about the tattoo industry or about us, or
Yeah,
where
if
to
you're an artist
go
or a
to tattoo.
client.
Or a client,
Yeah,
yeah.
anybody.
Yeah.
If you want to know about the process or if you want to just know about us, yeah, we're open books.
We are open books.
Yeah,
We're
Adam and
here
I
to chat.
decided to start this podcast because, well, we are best friends and we sit and talk a lot about nothing. And
Yeah.
we're like, we could do that
Yeah.
on a podcast.
Yeah, half of our conversations like this is what we could be talking about,
Yeah.
like this, right
Exactly like this.
now. Yeah, totally.
So,
Ah,
You did
said it again.
yeah, so that is kind of what brought us here, and we're excited. We're going to have guests on. We've got a bunch of different guests lined up.
Yeah.
We've got people in our shops that want to come on, and maybe people even in business that aren't necessarily tattoo artists, but do different things in business, social media, all different things.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, so
Yeah, that's pretty much it for that. So
we've got a list.
we got a list
Yeah.
of stuff that we want to talk about.
So, another thing that we had talked about with our podcast is just like in this industry, it can be kind of tough it's pretty cutthroat.
Very
And
cutthroat.
people are mean and nasty and they say mean things online. And Adam brought up like not that long ago that in this industry or any industry really, we don't need to know what people are saying about us. It's not really any of our business.
Yeah,
what they
other
think.
people's opinions aren't any of our business,
Yeah.
because people are gonna have that regardless of what you do, even if it's tattooing or cooking, fitness, anything, even just your regular job of working at a clothing store or something,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's something that's important for us.
and just life. Don't go through life worrying about people's opinions about you, because it really doesn't matter.
No, and
It
it's
doesn't
easy to
matter.
get stuck on it.
It is. It really is, especially online and stuff. When you see that one comment and it just sticks with you for whatever reason, when it really shouldn't. It's like I'm proud of what I did. I'm proud of the tattoo that I made. So that's all that really matters. And of course, if the client is happy with the tattoo, that's
Like
important
the
too.
most important
That's the
part.
most important part.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so how did you get into tattooing, Adam? Let's talk about that.
Oh boy. I got into tattooing. So my boss, I was working at a gas station, and my boss at the time, her son had a tattoo kit that he used, and he said that he wasn't using it anymore because he was just using it to tattoo friends and stuff. So she offered it to me, so I was like, okay, I'll take it. So I took it, and I started practicing on like grapefruits and pigskin and all that kinds of crazy stuff, and then started tattooing my friends. So just disclaimer, I do not suggest to start your tattoo journey like that, please, because for one, it just saves you a lot of headaches if you go the apprenticeship route.
I have an apprentice, Corey. She works in the shop. She's almost done her apprenticeship. It's almost been a year now. Go, Corey. But when we talked about me giving her an apprenticeship, I've been tattooing 4 years, and there's so much I don't know still, and I think it's so important to learn from other artists too. So an apprenticeship is super important, but you can't learn everything from one person. I don't believe that. I think that doing guest spots and meeting other artists and watching them, most artists don't mind if you like sit down and ask if you can shadow them. I have a bunch of different artists that I've sat down with, and they don't care.
Yeah.
So I think it's important. You're one of the few that, like, thankfully you were successful with it and persistent. You're a hard worker.
No, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to think I am. It was a rough road, that's for sure. Been working at a few different shops in my tattoo career, but like Stacy said, I've learned a little bit from every single person that I've worked with, whether it be, you know, how they shade, how they wrap their machines, or how they set up their gray washes or their color, how they color pack. Like an artist that I really learned a lot from is Andrea from Relegation. When I first started tattooing, like 10 years ago, I noticed that she would always have white set up with when she did color, and she would always kind of dip into her white.
You do talk about that all the time.
Yeah, and I always refer back to that because I remember seeing her do that, and I thought it was just so, I don't know, kind of just like opened up something inside of, you know, in my brain. I was like, yeah, that makes sense, because it acts almost like a primer in a sense, you know. So yeah, just working alongside other artists is super, super important.
And I feel like even for me, it's important for me to learn from color artists and stuff, even though I don't do color. I did a guest spot in Dallas last year at Deanna on Instagram. It's Deanna Art. She's an incredible artist. She does a lot of like painterly style, kind of like oil paintings on skin. But I sat down and watched her work, and she does like these under paintings when she's tattooing. And I mean, I don't do color, but that's useful information to know anyway. So just absorbing everything around you, all different from different artists.
Yeah.
And even if it's not something that you think that you're going to be doing, you can still learn about it.
Yeah, and apply it to how you're tattooing, you know. And it might open up a new, you know, a new venture where it's like, oh yeah,
I want to try that.
I want to try that. Yeah, seeing someone do it too sometimes makes it a little bit easier to kind of wrap your head around it, to just look at it and just be, you know, okay, that's how they approach it, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, because even lately you've been doing like whip shading, which you never really did before.
Yeah, I've never done whip shading, and the last couple ones that I've done, I'm like, oh geez, this is pretty fun.
Yeah,
I like it. Yeah, it's
and
super
before you
relaxing.
were always like, oh, black and gray is kind of boring.
Yeah, yeah.
But you've been enjoying it.
I have been. Yeah.
Well, it's different because I think because your brain is so used to doing color, you're so used to fully saturating everything. Whereas like black and gray, you're really using a lot of negative space.
A lot of skin.
Well, it depends on what type of black and gray, but
yeah, a lot of skin space. You got to use like utilize that open skin, because like you said, as a color artist, I'm always used to thinking, okay, yeah, I gotta hit every part of the skin, you know, to make it look like a proper tattoo, but that's totally not the case.
No.
You gotta use that open skin.
that negative skin is really important for black and gray, I think. So then you started working at a shop that you did a bunch of free tattoos.
Yeah, my first shop that I ever worked at, we would do the shop logo on people for free. So I wasn't getting paid for it, but at the same time, it gave me a lot of experience in just doing that many tattoos one after another, trying to, you know, just get comfortable with the machine and different spots on the body too, because as you know, like different parts of the body handles differently with the machine and
definitely.
your
And
needle.
there's a lot of spots when you're brand new that you have no idea would be very difficult to tattoo.
Like the smallest thing, like behind the arm, like back here, it's such a weird spot to tattoo.
I love that spot.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Do you have them like hang off the side,
Yeah.
off the edge? Yeah.
I feel like that spot is always just like, it's like flat paper almost because the way that they
Oh,
lay.
yeah.
I'm like, that's a nice spot to me.
Yeah.
I find in here to be harder. Like the inner part of the upper arm is a bit harder. The shoulder area, especially when you're new, I feel like that spot's hard because it's hard to stretch. And like behind like the armpit area, like
Yeah, right
that
there.
spot.
I've been getting people, to
I do that
go
too.
like that, and I only started doing that maybe like 2 or 3 years ago. I saw another artist do it, and I was just like, oh my god, that's brilliant. Like,
Yeah.
and I've been told by numerous artists where to try and get your client to help you stretch as much as possible, like get them to help you do the stretching because you're already doing it so much with this. You can only stretch so much with your hand. So when you're learning tattooing, they tell you to stretch, and if you're stretching enough, stretch a little bit
Stretch
more.
Yeah, I feel like that was the hardest thing with learning to tattoo is how much to stretch. Because when you're in it, you don't even really think about it that you're like, oh my god, I might not be stretching enough. You're like, why isn't this going in properly? Especially when you're so new, and it makes all the difference. Like if you can't, if it's not properly stretched, it's not going in properly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you look at it, you're like, geez. But again, that all comes with practice. Yep.
And back to you talking about like learning about the position and only doing that a few years ago. That's kind of where this industry is such an awesome industry because like we never know everything. Like you've been tattooing for years and you could still learn new things like that. And I think the second that you get to the point where you're like, I know everything, you shouldn't be tattooing because you don't. You
Big red flag right there.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I know everything. No, you really don't.
I mean, that's kind of like life too. Like you
That's
don't ever
very
know
true.
everything.
Yeah, very true. How did you start tattooing?
So I was on a medical leave from a job I wasn't like doing mentally very well, and ended up going out. I met a girl that was a tattoo artist. Started an apprenticeship. It all happened like really fast. That apprenticeship didn't really work out, and I worked at a couple different shops. I learned a lot along the way. And then I opened the shop here. So I've been tattooing just about 4 years now.
Crazy. Wicked. Yeah, it's quite the journey, tattooing.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild. And if you can get into it, it is one of the greatest jobs that you could really have.
But you have to really want it.
You do.
Like you have to work so hard at it. I feel like anyone who's not willing to put everything into it isn't going to be successful with it because there's so much that we have to do to be successful with tattooing. There's social media that is a big part of our jobs. As I'm saying that, I've been failing on my social media so badly.
But if your books are full, it's not as important, but it kind of is. But at the same time, it's just like it's exhausting, especially when you're booked that much. It's just like, oh my god, man.
Yeah, but I mean, still, even when you're new, like you have to continue to take anything that you can, even if you're not really comfortable with it. When you're in your apprenticeship phase, taking everything you can and trying kind of everything to find your style is super important. And you're gonna have so many tattoos that you're like, damn, like that didn't go the way I thought it was going to, and that's just part of the process. Another part too is just like imposter syndrome. Like
that's a big one.
it's a really big one.
Yeah, I can totally agree with that. And yeah, just touching back on doing things that you don't want to do, especially when you're first starting. It's super important to do those little word tattoos or infinity symbols, but I find doing lettering tattoos, even though it's just a word, it really helps you with the whole tattoo aspect of how to do your line work and how to do
The curves.
just the curves, swoops and stuff. And especially because they're really small too, it doesn't give you much room for error. So it really helps you make sure you're following that stencil, and
Especially for fine line artists.
especially for fine line artists, because you can't really, sometimes you can thicken a line to kind of fix it, but with fine line, sometimes it's
Once you're
not
in,
always
that's your spot.
once you're in it to hopefully win it.
Forever.
Yeah, hopefully in it to win it.
Yeah. But no, it's so true. I took a lot of script pieces when I was newer, and I hated it. I hated doing script. And now it's like I love doing script.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too.
It's just mindless
Yep.
for me.
If you can just add them at the end of your day kind of thing, it's just like, yeah, let's do it.
I feel like also with script is your brain wants to like fill in the word.
Mm-hmm.
So it does teach you to follow the stencil really well. A lot of times, even still, sometimes I do script upside down.
Oh yeah, because you're just following just the line work itself. Yeah, script or just word tattoos in general. It's such a weird concept too, because it's almost like you're reading it too much. Then your brain starts to think, is this how it's spelled? Even though you've checked it 3 or 4 times, you're looking at the word perfect and you're just thinking, is there an extra E in there, or did I put an extra T or something? Is the T in the right spot?
Yeah.
But yeah, doing it upside down, it just kind of puts
Takes
your brain
out of it.
Yeah, and you can just kind of do the line work for it and not so much think about the lettering or the word
Especially itself. I find even I don't know if you get a lot of them, but a lot of times people will bring writing from like their grandparents or their mom or dad or whatever, and so you're like really copying someone else's handwriting, and your brain wants to like do it how you kind of would. So upside down really helps with that too.
Yeah, sometimes the way grandparents do like E's or F's or something, you want to like correct it, but at the same time it's like, don't correct it.
No,
that's the way they wrote it, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're just gonna interrupt.
We're gonna interrupt this program with
a
word from your sponsor.
Jeez, hilarious. We just wanted to say what our Instagrams are so you guys can follow us. Mine is AM Tattoo 66 on Instagram. Stacy's
Mine is Tattoos by Stacy with an I.
With an I. Make sure you get that I in there.
We'll link them below too.
Yeah, they're in our profile. So
another thing that we wanted to talk about a little bit, because we get asked all the time, is like getting an apprenticeship, like how that works. So my phone is ringing. I think like it's important to just get tattooed by the person, talk to them. Anyone that you get tattooed by, you can ask about getting an apprenticeship and putting a resume together, a good portfolio together, like be professional with it.
Draw a lot. Like get a book, a sketchbook like that, and just fill it with a bunch of stuff. Even lettering tattoos.
Literally everything.
Just draw the word perfect. Draw the word angel. Draw the word whatever.
Draw straight lines.
Yeah, draw straight lines. Draw the word word in your sketchbook, because that'll show that, you know, you got not only the passion and the drive that you'll just want to do lettering or just have words in your sketchbook, but it'll show you, they'll be like, I can do this too, you know?
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
And just being professional with it. Like, I get a lot of emails for apprenticeships, and if someone sends me an email being like, I want to get an apprenticeship, like, I want to work at your shop, and they don't give me anything to go off of, like, I'm not.
Just give it to me.
I'm not
just
looking
because
for
I want
an apprenticeship apprentice anyway right now, but it's a real job, and you have to work really hard at it. So
it is, yeah. You got to prove yourself. And getting tattooed, like if you're interested in someone's work that's that's the style you want to get tattooed, or that you want to tattoo in, get tattooed by them. That's super important too, because that also shows that you're like into the industry and looking and having respect for the industry, that you're getting tattooed and you're not just going into it kind of blindly.
That's actually a good point, because a lot of times I feel like people will send an email to get a apprenticeship or a message on Instagram or whatever, and they're like, I got a machine off Amazon and I want to get an apprenticeship, and that's gonna kind of deter you from getting an apprenticeship, because an artist isn't gonna want someone that isn't gonna like learn everything from them if there's like bad habits or things that they've picked up.
Yeah, set in their ways.
Home.
Yeah. It's like, well, I did a tattoo like this at home and it healed perfectly. Well, how did you tear down that machine?
Yeah,
you
did
know?
you set up like clean?
Yeah.
Because that's the first thing.
It's super important.
It is important.
That's a whole other aspect of not only just doing the tattoo, but you know your
sterilization. Yeah, it's really important. You can get a lot of diseases if it's not done properly.
Totally. And using the right stuff, and there's a lot of stuff that you don't really think about. You know, like going to grab something with a dirty gloved hand. You know, it's just little things like that. It's like you can't do that. You can't go and grab your coffee and take a sip of it and then put it back down on your station.
No.
You know, it's just like you
It's
got to think of
contaminated.
yeah.
And it puts everyone in the shop at risk, so it's really important. And that just goes back to like it's really important to get an apprenticeship. And going back to what you were saying about finding an artist whose work you really like and getting tattooed by them, it might not even be the style that you end up enjoying tattooing. Like I thought for sure that I was gonna be doing like full color realism.
I thought I was going to be a black and gray portrait artist.
Yeah.
Because Bob Tyrell was like my guy. I was like, I want to be like that guy when I grow up, man. And now I do full out color Disney tattoos, which is my passion. That's what makes me the most happiest is being able to tattoo Simba on someone or, you know, Stitch or something, because it's just.
But you do some black and gray like horror stuff too, which is
Yeah.
kind of along the realism.
And when it comes to like subject matter, it makes a big difference on what I want to tattoo, kind of thing.
Well, and you're just passionate about like pop culture stuff.
Yeah, anything pop culture, I just love it. And the fact that people love getting that stuff tattooed on them is just awesome.
Yeah,
Absolutely love it.
yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, so I think we're gonna cut it there, guys. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us.
It was
We
super
will
fun.
be back again, hopefully with guests next time.
Yeah.
And yeah, give us a like and a follow and stay tuned for more.
Yeah.